this gentleman, what needs to be said about Bob Patterson? He's a storyteller. He's a songwriter, a song contest writer winner.
A liar.
Now, I wouldn't say a liar. I'd say a storyteller.
It's popular to be a liar now, you know.
Yeah, a liar, liar, pants on fire. I've heard that, you know. And he's so handsome, and he's an author as well. He's written 2 books, and they are available here, yes?
Yes.
All right. So with no further ado, because I could talk to you forever, but this is about Bob. Mr. Bob Patterson.
Well, have you ever hated gator beller? Seen a snake with stripes of yellow? Ever heard a panther squall? Ever seen 2 sandhill cranes dance strut like they're going insane? If you have, my friend, you know Will McLean. Well, you ever seen a big old bass disappear in the tall eel grass? Ever looked inside a gopher turtle's home? Do you like to see the water run clean? Have you ever seen an otter primp and preen? If you have, my friend, you know Will McLean. Now, Will McLean, that's the name synonymous with wildlife domain. Man who is nature true and true. Ah, save it for me, save it for you. If you believe in that too, then, my friend, you know Will McLean. Hey, you ever been to Rainbow Springs? Listen to a songbird sing? Ever seen a gator's eyes light up in the night? Ever smelled that night blooming jasmine? Felt so good you thought you were in heaven? If you have, my friend, you know Will McLean. Well, have you ever stood on Florida sand? You want to see him take down that Rodman Dam? Let the Ocklawaha run true and true. You know, if you're man enough to take a stand, fight for this Florida land, then, my friend, you know Will McLean. Now, Will McLean, that's the name synonymous with wildlife domain. Man who is nature true and true. Ah, save it for me, save it for you. If you believe in that too, then, my friend, you know Will McLean. Well, have you ever caught a catfish in Lake Okeechobee? Dangled your feet in the Withlacoochee? Canoed on a river grass? Ever sang a song on the banks of the Swanee? You want to see him take down the bridges across the St. Mary's? My friends, that was Will McLean. Now, Will McLean, that's the name synonymous with wildlife domain. Man who is nature true and true. Ah, save it for me, save it for you. You know, if you believe in that too, then, my friend, you know Will McLean. Yes, Will McLean, that's the name synonymous with wildlife domain. Man who is nature true and true. Ah, save it for me, save it for you. If you believe in that too, then, my friends, you know Will McLean. Then, my friend, you know Will McLean. Thank you so much. So I drove down yesterday from St. Augustine, and I'm driving down, and I'm going, 30th annual Will McLean Festival. Holy, folks, I've been to all of them. What a gift, what a gift. Then I started thinking, oh, the Florida Folk Festival. Been to 51 of those. Maybe I'm just lucky to be here. So it's not only a wonderful time to come down because I'm with so many wonderful old pals here, but also it's my birthday weekend. 78. Getting my brain cells down to a manageable number. Thank you. Yeah. I remember when I first turned 65, people started treating me differently. You know, they'd call me up at 9 o'clock at night to go, hey, Bob, I wake you up. It's not all bad, though. We got that, you no longer have to pay for a fishing license when you're 65 and older in Florida. Got getting that Social Security check every month. Getting that Social Security sex. That's where you get a little every now and then, but not enough to live off. I have to admit, I'm slowing down. I was in the yard the other day and turned over a log. There's 3 snails under it, and folks, I caught one. Now, I remember Gamble Rogers. He was a gentleman with a guitar. Oh, he's moved on a little further now, a little distant in the stars. He went down into the water to try and save a drowning man, and he left this world holding out his hands. You know, he was a master at the microphone, preach wisdom with a southern tone. Mississippi John and Agamemnon Jones, he had the magic in his hands. He sang the old songs, they still ring true. He was a poet and a philosopher too. He'd say life is just what happens to you while you're making other plans. Oh, I remember Gamble Rogers. He was a gentleman with a guitar. Oh, he's moved on a little further now, a little distant in the stars. He went down into the water to try and save a drowning man, and he left this world holding out his hand. He had the gift of innocence, a fondness for the key of E. He always displayed the utmost dignity. Oh, from the trade winds to the troubadour, he was a celebrated raconteur. Left him standing at the backstage door, crying out for more. Oh, I remember Gamble Rogers. He was a gentleman with a guitar. He's moved on a little further now, a little distant in the stars. He went down into the water to try and save a drowning man, and he left this world holding out his hands. And he left this world holding out his hands. My old pal Gamble Rogers. I don't know if you folks have read the wonderful book Troubadour's Life by our friend Bruce Horowitz, who happens to be here with us this weekend. And, the book's available down there. If you haven't read it, you want to add it to the list. It's top notch. He's already getting some nice awards with that book. So, and for those of us who've been waiting for the book for so long, it's nice to finally have it to have that. You know, the year was 1928. Children many years ago. You know, when death comes howling across the ocean, death calls. You gotta go. You know, Lake Okeechobee had a levee to keep the water down, but a high tide from a hurricane swept water into the town. Wasn't that a mighty storm? Wasn't that a mighty storm in the morning? Wasn't that a mighty storm? blew all the people away. You know, the Seminoles gave a warning. You better leave this place. Nobody thought of leaving till death stared them in the face. There was a train at the station, people all leaving town, but then a trestle gave way with the water, and the train went on down. I'll tell you now, wasn't that a mighty storm? Wasn't that a mighty storm in the morning? Wasn't that a mighty storm? Blew all the people away. Now trees fell on the islands, houses give away. Some folks just up and drowned it, but folks died most every way. And the water kept on rolling, boats they could not land. I heard a man crying, God save a drowning man. Wasn't that a mighty storm? Wasn't that a mighty storm in the morning? Wasn't that a mighty storm? Blew all the people away. Yeah, wasn't that a mighty storm? Wasn't that a mighty storm in the morning? Wasn't that a mighty storm? Blew all the people away. Thank you so much. I went to see my old friend William Ellis not too long ago. He's got this neat little cabin out there along the Ocklawaha River, and took a little while to get out there to it. And when I did, I had to go out back and use the facilities. I came back in. I said, Bill, you think someday you might get some indoor plumbing? He said, no, I don't like the kind of people it attracts. So we went inside, sat down to a nice lunch, had some swamp cabbage, some homemade cornbread, and some delicious muscadine grapes. And, you know, I was just kidding with him. I said, Bill, I didn't realize you were a vegetarian. He had a scowl dark in his forehead. He said, you know that word comes from an old Indian word that means lousy hunter. And he got serious with me. He said, you know, all life lives on living things. Vegetarians just eat things that can't crawl away. Think about that. So I was still kidding. I'd say, hey, you ever been to one of those vegetarian, lodges? When, instead of having a moose head over the fireplace, they got a fresh stalk of broccoli. And he didn't think that was funny either. But he agreed to tell me a little story. Now I wasn't surprised that he outlived his wife. He's way into his 90s, but I was surprised to find out that he had outlived her for so long. He was married to a beautiful Seminole Indian girl by the name of Dade. Beautiful girl who, as I understand, taught herself how to play the guitar, how to sing. She could sing all those songs out of the Baptist hymn book, but what she'd rather do was apply that guitar to her own culture. She'd find a quiet place to sit and strike these minor and dissonant sounding chords, raise herself to a spiritual level, and write these beautiful songs like The Seasons Change, Dance of the Sandhill Cranes, My People, the Seminole. She was really quite good, as I understood it to be, but she didn't care too much for playing for the likes of people like you and I. She would rather take that guitar into the woods and sing to the animals. And after a while, I understand there was a lot of animals. As the animals learned that they could trust Leonda and that she loved them, they became totally uninhibited. And from this, she conceived of this great revelation about life, and as if we love something enough, it will give up its secrets. And she shared that revelation. He shared that revelation. She shared that revelation with Bill, and they built this little cabin on the banks of the Ocklawaha, where they lived, loved, gave the land, took the land. One morning, she's in the woods singing a song to some warblers, and a chameleon fell from a tree and landed on her arm. She watched it change from its beautiful bronze color from its green color to match the beautiful bronze color of her skin. And when she set it back down on the earth, she watched it change back into the color of its environment and slowly fade away and disappear. And from that, she conceived still another revelation about life, and that is, if we are to survive, we must be like that chameleon. We must have the ability to change, and more importantly, must be able to blend in and live in harmony with our environment. And she shared that with William Ellis, and together they built this nice little cabin on the banks of the Ocklawaha. They lived, loved, took from the land, gave to them. In many ways, they were just like that chameleon, blended in totally with the environment. In 1928, that great storm came across the state of Florida. We hear about bad storms these days, but that storm in 1928 killed more than 4,000 people. Literally blew all the water out of Lake Okeechobee onto the surrounding countryside. Even along the banks of the Ocklawaha, the water rose so quickly in the dead of night, their cabin was covered in a matter of minutes. They barely made it out alive. But then another moment, Leonda was lost. Bill kept calling to her, only to have his shouts blown back into his mouth by the hurricane wind. He would dive in the waters to feel around for her. He couldn't find her. He'd become so tired, he'd need to go to hang on to a tree to rest, but the trees were covered with rats, bugs, snakes, other things trying to escape the floodwaters. Even after the floodwaters receded, he never found a trace of Leonda, even though he never stopped searching. And in a search, he realized that once again she taught him another great revelation about life, that is, no matter who you are, no matter what you have, it can be taken from you. William Ellis's heart was broken. It was some time after that he was walking along the banks of the Ocklawaha. He noticed wedged into the notch of a tree a guitar case. He struggled to get it down. He opened it up. It was Leonda's guitar. Still had the strings on it, and he just took his thumb, he dragged it across the strings. Yeah, the guitar wasn't really in tune. Just made that minor dissonant sound, and a little family of raccoons came out into the clearing, followed by a doe, buck, a fawn. Here come a black bear, gray fox, and more animals began to arrive. All the alligators and turtles began to mass on the banks, and they all were peering at this half-broken man embracing the guitar. And he just went down and he struck just the first string. Eerie silence fell over the woodland, and then as if carried by the wind, he heard a voice. It was the voice of his beautiful Leonda. Now he couldn't see her, but he could feel her presence all around him. She said, William, it's time for you to end your broken heart. And she sang out her song to the sandhill cranes. And in a matter of minutes, the sky was darkened by 30 sandhill cranes. They flew in and they formed this mandala, the circle of perfect consciousness around William Ellis. And she said, my people believe everything in the world is a circle. The horizon is a circle. We make our camp, it's in a circle. When the eagle makes its nest, it's in a circle. Everything in the circle is one thing. I am in the circle with you. Even though you are without me, I am with you. All of a sudden, the first string on the guitar snapped, broke the silence like the sound of a gunshot. All the animals disappeared. William Ellis rose to his feet. New air in his lungs, new strength in his body. Oh, you want to make him mad? Ask him why he never got remarried. He tell you it's a stupid question because he knows he has this beautiful Leonda by his side at all times. Last time I was over his place, I saw that guitar case under the bed. He broke it out and showed it to me. He still hadn't replaced that string, but doesn't matter. He doesn't play the guitar. He just likes to hold it, dream about his beautiful Leonda and all the wonderful things she taught him, He looked cocked one eye up at me. He said, I bet you got someone waiting for you over there, the place where the spirits go. I said, Bill, I probably do, but in my case, it might be the devil. One thing's for certain, folks, we're all headed towards that day of revelation. I can tell you William Ellis is looking forward to his with great expectation. I don't know, wasn't expecting to be anytime soon. I don't know why I feel that way. He's in his 90s. Maybe it's because I know he's got more stories to tell, and I certainly want to hear them. I said, well, Bill, do you ever hear any, tell me more. Do you hear any more from Leonda? He says, she sings me a song every night before I go to bed. I am the one who will stand by you. I am the one who will be there when all the others are gone. And I am the one who will care for you. I am the one who will hold you, carry you through the storm. I am the one. And I am the one who will walk beside you. I am the one you cannot lose when everything goes to the wind. And I am the one who will share your pain. I am the friend who will stand in the rain, never turning his back on you. I am the one. And I am the one who will hold out my hand to you. I'll be the one to embrace you when your time comes to leave this old world. I am the one. I am the one. He just looked at me and said, she said, I am the one. Thanks, guys. So we're celebrating Margaret Longhill this weekend. What a most magnificent, beautiful lady. Many years ago, I got a phone call from the folks at Gamble Rogers Middle School in St. Augustine. They said, "Hey, we'd like to go ahead and put together a festival in Gamble's honor. Would you come and help us out?" And so I said, "Sure," but because they were going to put me in charge of actually doing the festival. So, and I had no experience doing that, but, Margaret had already been doing it for 5 years. And so Margaret's the one that I went to for, for advice and all that good juju input. And it was really a wonderful thing because even though I knew Margaret because of her relationship with Will all those years, now we had something to work on together. So it just forced us to really spend time together, both on the phone and physically. And we'd always meet up with each other as the years would go by. We'd look each other straight in the eyes and go, how much longer can we do this? That's what this song's all about. Sing your songs about rivers, sing about the springs, sing about the panther and the smallest of living things, sing about the wise old owl, the lonesome cow you grit. Just keep singing your songs for Florida. Do it for me and Margaret. Knowing me and Margaret have been friends for so many years. We had our share of laughter, more than our share of tears. We'd always like to ask each other, how much longer can we go on? Providing a place for people to be singing their Florida songs. Now me and Margaret loved a man known as Will McLean. We helped him through life's ups and downs as he lived out his master's plan. Somehow we got the message. Will made us understand that it was up to us to protect the dignity of our beloved Florida sands. So sing your songs about rivers and sing about the springs. Sing about the panther and the smallest of living things. Sing about the wise old owl, the lonesome cow you grit. Just keep singing your songs for Florida. Do it for me and Margaret. And Me and Margaret love that place known as Rainbow Springs. We like to look out over the Withlacoochee, watching birds on the wing, and we like to bring people together to share their hopes, their dreams. Most of all, we just wanted to hear people sing. Oh, me and Margaret love rivers, love to watch them gently flow. We've seen so many people come and so many more go, and we always were so grateful for the treasures they'd left as they'd go. Because me and Margaret knew someday we'd join that river's flow. So sing your songs about rivers and sing about the springs. Sing about the panther and the smallest of living things. Sing about the wise old owl, the lonesome cow egret. Just keep singing your songs for Florida. Do it for me and Margaret. Now, me and Margaret love children. I guess it's the hope in their eyes. We want to see them loved and protected beneath the Florida sky. And sure, we want them to learn the difference between right and wrong. But you know, after that, we want them to be singing all our songs. So sing your songs about rivers and sing about the springs. Sing about the panther and the smallest of living things. Sing about the wise old owl, the lonesome cow egret. Just keep singing your songs for Florida. Hey, do it for me and Margaret. Oh, sing your songs about rivers and sing about the springs. Sing about the panther and the smallest of living things. Sing about the wise old owl, the lonesome cow egret. Just keep singing your songs for Florida. Hey, do it for me and Margaret. All right, I got one more tune to do here. Certainly want to thank my pals there in good company for doing Lullaby of the Rivers with us. It's always wonderful when you hear your songs done by other people. It's a gift, and I thank them. Yeah. So yeah, here's the Silver Spring song. Of course, it comes with a story. Yeah, one day I had a little house behind the sugar mill up there in St. Augustine, and one day Gamble comes over, and behind that old lime green Ford Mustang of his, there was this Thompson runabout motorboat, and Will McLean was in the back seat recovering from the night before. You could barely see him underneath the Kentucky Fried Chicken boxes and sweet tea cups. Anyhow, we drove on over down to Salt Springs, went over to Fort McCoy, took those dirt roads till we came up along the Ocklawaha River at Gore's Landing. We put in there, and they took me up the Ocklawaha, up into the Silver River, and up into Silver Springs. And folks, one of my childhood heroes was none other than Tarzan, right? We all thought that we know the storyline in the Tarzan movies took place in Africa. You know, they were made here. So I thought I was in Africa. I thought, wow, this is an amazing place. Yes, it did. Made a huge impression on me. Well, at that time, one of the world's first magnitude springs, right, Silver Springs, 98.9 pure artesian spring water was coming out then. It's now polluted. Out over the silvery water, out over the silver springs, I hear the murmurings of creation. I hear the sounds of untamed things. Night starlight and silvery waters keep calling me back to Silver Springs. Oh, I feel the nearness of God as I go there. I feel the touch of angels' wings. You know, it's like looking down from on top of a mountain, peering deep into the springs. Water so pure and translucent reveals the marvels about which I sing. Oh, there are stories of lovers lost in these waters. Some say their spirits come back to the springs. Prince Chulkata and his beautiful Winona. Some say their spirits are hovering over the springs. What about Claire Douglas and Bernice Mayo? Was Aunt Scylla really 110? Is there such a place as the bridal chamber? Who would you expect to find there within? Framed in the power and the beauty of nature. Oh, it has strange and mystic ways. Voices that call from out of nowhere, singing in the song of Silver Springs. You know, Florida's first people thought water to be sacred. But they are gone now like the wind and the rain. But if they were here, they'd stand up to injustice, unable to accept what is happening to our springs. Oh, it's a rotten egg, odorous civilization, pouring nitrates into the springs. Tell me, how can we poison these precious waters when it's that very water that keeps alive all human beings? Out over the silvery water, out over the silver springs, I hear the murmurings of creation. I hear the sounds of untamed things. Thank you all.
Mr. Bob Patterson. Bob has CDs at the FOF booth. Bob has books at the FOF booth. Do you have them right here, too?